This is completely different blind pan stage than what we're used to seeing. They're respecting that Bombardier, though.
Yeah, and the snap lock of Wild Soul coming out from B-Kid. But if I was QsQ right now, I would just totally lock up Keeper and Ophelia, not even think about it. I would totally lock up those two heroes and be like, you want to take Wild Soul? Okay, I'll get the other two heroes. Or you want to take Keeper? Okay, I'll take Wild Soul plus Ophelia, or what have you.
Yeah.
And I would do that without even thinking about it at this point. Now the other, there you go. Keeper and Ophelia do get locked up. He thought about it a little bit, but I'll give him a little bit of credit.
Okay.
Now there's still Parasite on the board as well, which is another annoying jungle hero, and I would actually lock that if I was B-Kid, because you just don't want to get out jungled, so to speak, out suicide / jungled. Whereas I get one, you get two.
Yeah.
If you lock Parasite, it could potentially be I get two, you get two, sort of thing. So I would lock up that Parasite. They do pick up Glacius, probably as a preventative measure against specifically Ophelia, and then Oluna, of course, is the other support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, giving them another option here. So back over to Nova. Something tells me this is really a throwaway lock, especially with what we have in the pool so far. So we'll see what Nova ultimately decides. But obviously, I don't know if it will have the biggest impact. In fact, it is going to be Voodoo Jester. But again, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be picked up here. So into the banning phase, of course, we go. So again, big question marks, you know, from the leadership position, just as a team really for QsQ at the beginning of the game. You'd hope that here in game number 2, you know, things settle down a little bit more, and you can calm things down and, you know, look at the big picture and make the better decisions, you could even argue. So, again, QsQ has proven just as very recently as that Cycle 3 where they won those 12 games in a row against teams like Complexity and TDM and TTE Sports and even Stay Green. They were up 2-1 in the grand finals once again. So they can and have defeated the best of the best even. So. And here, I mean, they're 4th place overall coming into what is cycle number 4 here. So definitely looking for that win to really take it to Complexity. But Complexity is up 1-0, of course. So they, too, want to finish better than that 5th, 6th place spot. So Pharaoh, Hammerstorm, Moon Queen, Zephyr, Draconis are so far the bans. With one more to go, there it is. It is going to be Jeraziah.
Okay.
No Parasite ban.
Yeah, I really feel like Pebbles is going to get picked up here. Like, Complexity, they love running Pebbles. There's also Fade there. Okay, they go Silhouette.
Wow.
I didn't expect that, to be honest, but with Draconis being banned like I talked about, those two very, very strong laning carries, with one of them being banned, you have the option to take the other, and they do, so they pick up Silhouette.
Mm-hmm. There's Fade, Pebbles,
Plague Rider,
Engineer as a support option.
There's tons of stuff.
There is a lot of stuff here in this lockable Moraxis. I know these two teams definitely can run, so it is going to be Engineer Fade, actually, as the combination here for QsQ. Again, very powerful, as we pointed out, especially in that mid setup, so.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's back to Complexity, though. Man, B-Kid, though, he picked that Silhouette. Did not even put any thought into it, it seemed like.
Yeah. I really would have taken Engineer. I mean, I love Fade, and I know that QsQ really loves Fade, but I just feel like Pebbles is such a great, you know, just such a good composition of that lane with Engineer Pebbles. Now, Engineer Fade, we actually saw, remember, I think it was yesterday we saw Engineer Fade versus Pebbles Oluna. And Pebbles Oluna just had their way with them.
Mm-hmm. Because
Pebbles was just so tanky, it was just so much easier to set things up because you have two different targets to go on. Whereas if you're Fade Engineer against a Pebbles, you can't really go on the Pebbles because he's just so tanky. You have to go on the other support. Well, if the other support's playing so far back, then you just can't do anything. Andromeda's picked up right here. Again, I love Andromeda. One of my favorite support heroes in the game. And if you're QsQ, you might want to think about, you know, manning up on the Andromeda. I wonder if Complexity will pick up Glacius as well.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. That's kind of the first thought that came into my head, because, you know, maybe Pebbles Andromeda, especially with Andromeda short range, might not be the most powerful, but if you do it in a tri-lane setup with something like that Glacius, then yeah, I mean, that could be a scary tri-lane. Then if you first pick that Wild Soul, you go something like a short lane Wild Soul, and then maybe even a solo mid Silhouette, something like that, so.
Well, Complexity could do actually a lot of things. The Pebbles could just simply be a pick to, so to speak. It's not really a counter, but I have been seeing teams do this a lot, where they solo Pebbles against a Suicide Keeper. Now, presuming that QsQ is going to go Keeper after the Wild Soul pick from Complexity, then you could go solo Pebbles versus Keeper bottom, and then have like Andromeda roaming with Silhouette mid. But even then, I feel like, you know, Engineer Fade is just going to be too strong. So Very curious to see where they run Andromeda. They could also maybe go like some kind of wacky dual lane top with Andromeda Wild Soul, and then pick off a gank or get a gank that way, which could actually very well work.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely options there for Complexity. The one that was really certain, though, was that they were going to first pick that Wild Soul, and sure enough, the snap pick. Forsaken Archer, by the way, the final pick for Q Squad in that regular picking stage, so that's their carry of choice this game. Definitely a solid one. We don't see her too often, it seems like, nowadays, but she definitely brings her presence. So Q Squad, they are thinking about this, but is it pretty obvious? Ophelia keeper here?
I would pick that up in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely pick that up. But QsQ is a team that likes to run just straight up tri-lanes from time to time. Okay, there they go. Keeper. They just thought about it a little bit.
There's nothing wrong with that. They were down to 4 seconds of extra time. But okay, there's the Glacius. So this is what you're talking about. The options now for Complexity. You know, there were still several of them, even with this pickup. We'll see how Complexity. And now this is my question too. Chessie was their Wild Soul player, wasn't he?
Moon played him actually a lot.
Did
as well.
he?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I guess in the end, maybe it won't be the biggest deal for that reason, but you're right.
But
yeah.
here's the thing: is QsQ is playing Glacius.
Oh wow.
I was like, here's the thing. I was just waiting for them to swap around. It was like, usually Moon plays her second support if they have 2 supports, or it was Chessie in that case. But he's playing Wild Soul, so wait a second. Who's going to play the Glacius? Certainly not B-Kid.
Yeah.
You never see him playing that stuff.
would
He'd be
never
like, no,
do
that's too
that."
boring for me.
Yeah, so it is going to be Pebbles, Beacon on Pebbles, of course. And then, yeah, QsQ playing the Glacius here, so. All right, but still the question mark of how exactly is Complexity going to lane this? Obviously sitting in a pause here, so we'll still need to wait a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Anticipation's killing me, man.
Well, now if they go Glacius Pebbles mid, that's still very, very strong.
Yeah.
And it'll be very good against an NG Fade dual lane mid. Now, NG Fade can't get kills onto Glacius, but I feel like with Pebbles just in the mix, being able to protect him and being so tanky, it's just a little bit more difficult. That lane will be fine for them, but Andromeda Silhouette, if they go Andromeda Silhouette bottom, you're not really going to get kills on Keeper, and I feel like Keeper is still going to be able to get some good experience and somewhat good farm. So it's, I don't know, it's kind of interesting. They could also just go a straight up tri-lane top with Pebbles, solo Silhouette, solo Wild Soul, and just dive FA all day. That's the other option.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when we were first talking about that initially. But again, there are options for Complexity, so we'll see. As far as Q Squad's concerned, it does seem pretty obvious what we should expect out of them, at least initially. Your Fade NG middle, your Ophelia jungle, Keeper Suicide, and Forsaken Archer short lane, most likely. So, but yeah, they do go the Forsaken Archer carry pick once again, and nothing wrong with that. Nox going to be playing the Forsaken, of course. So. We'll see how he performs. Obviously, again, he is coming off a very, very good performance on Mage Bane. A lot of GPM, despite this struggling for his team overall. He himself actually was doing very, very well in terms of farming, at least. And again, Nox has proven, since he's really splashed onto the scene with his team, that he can definitely do that. So, Complexity is ready, apparently, but now just waiting on Q Squad. And then we'll be good. But, I mean, Q Squad did get the Keeper-Ophelia combination. So, that itself, that is powerful, man. I mean, that on top of a Forsaken, for that matter. I didn't even think about that initially, but look at that push power, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot over here on the Hellborn side.
Yeah, it is a lot of push, of course. And I am very curious, though, to see the laning phase and see how it shapes up. I think QsQ's lanes are pretty obvious with, Fade NG mid. And you can abuse that, basically. Like I said, if you do some kind of tri-lane top with Pebbles, you can dive FA very easily, the same way that you kind of dove. Well, they didn't really dive Bombardier last game, but just she has no escape mechanism. One stun sets it all up, and she's dead. And then how can you recover from that? Like, you send NG top. I guess you could send NG top and then go a tri-lane with Ophelia against it. But then you have Glacius against the Ophelia, who will just Ice Imprisonment the creep and stop her in her tracks. So, yeah, we could very well see a tri-lane top.
Just taking a quick peek here. Well, it looks like we are out of the pause, but you look at the other series again, Lion versus TD Esports that's going on. It seems like Lion has actually come back a little bit, and they do got a Wild Soul. Seems like he's getting some decent farm and whatnot. So definitely keep an eye on that again. I believe that is game number 1 there of that series. So, of course, that being the other series. Looking forward to seeing how that one finishes up. The winner of that will play the winner of this, actually. So even that much more important to us. So. Anyways, here we go into the at least initial part of the laning phase. Ophelia's leading the way down here. She actually does go the boots first, by the way. The boots and then the tangos, or the blight stones as they're called. I'm going to look out, search out for somebody, clear it out. Engineer does have those ward of sights ready to place. Pebbles is currently set here at the bottom lane. Being played by Beakit, of course, in that solo. So Andromeda right now roaming around. Glacius is as well, maybe just mixing it up a little bit as far as which support is with who. It looks like Glacius is going to end up going bottom, though. And maybe Andromeda, too. So, I don't know. Still a lot of movement going around here. We'll see how it ultimately ends up. But no action early on in the game just yet.
Interesting ward coming out, actually, from QsQ. They place it right here. It's not going to block the camp, though.
Huh.
And I feel like that's not a smart move because you can just utilize the poles constantly, and then Keeper will not get any of that farm. So interesting wards, very defensive, but I'm curious to see if that's going to pay off at all. So yeah, Andromeda and Pebbles bottom against the Keeper. Yeah, Pebbles is going to get complete free farm, basically. But Keeper should be able to get some good levels as well, unless they buy some early dust or some early counter wards. But yeah, again, I'm very intrigued by this ward coming up from QsQ.
Well, this is, remember, Nova loves to do this. He's done it with it when he's on a Luna a couple times, where he'll sit in here in this gap right here and wait to kind of bait the other support out, basically, and then collapse on top of it. But that's not happening. So yeah, it's even more reason as to why this ward aside was placed here. You really do got to kind of scratch your head a little bit. But in the end, what's done is done. So into the laning phase we do go now, and sure enough, it is that Keeper versus the Andro Pebbles. And actually, Glacius and Silhouette going to be paired up here in the middle lane. So what do you make of that, actually? The fact that they decided to pair up the Glacius Silhouette and then the Andro Pebbles instead.
Well, they're having the dual range lane mid against the Fade. And it's like, do you really need a Glacius bottom for Pebbles against the Keeper? Like, no. You can use Andro to do exactly that. Like, you're not really going to kill Keeper. You actually could if you play your cards right. But utilize the Glacius somewhere where she's going to be a lot more useful, like in the mid lane, for this dual range lane against NG Fade. So
yeah,
it's a smart decision. The only thing is the X factor, which is QsQ has a jungler, whereas Complexity doesn't. So if Molly's able to get some good farm and or create some ganks in the mid lane, then that'd be good for him. But also the other factor with that as well is Glacius is in the mid, so it's even harder for Ophelia to gank because you can just ice imprisonment that creep.
Speaking of the top lane, by the way, I mean, look at, there's already, Forsaken Huster's already been able to apply a decent amount of damage to the tower. I mean, he was able to get some good auto attacks in there, and obviously Wildsoul was, doing some polling with the bear and whatnot. That's why it kind of resulted. In fact, here we go again. Going to use the bear, and this is what Wildsoul, what helps make him such a powerful suicide laner, of course. Ophelia in that jungle does control the Minotaur, and it looks like is going to try to protect the top rune, which happens to be a haste rune, is going to pick it up himself, and going right towards the top lane. So Wildsoul might be in a little bit of trouble here. Only level 2 Forsaken Archer currently. Not level 3 just yet, but here we go. Ophelia's charging in. Out comes the bear once again. No entangle just yet, of course. The Minotaur is going to put the stun out. Crippling volley will follow. Is this going to be enough damage in the end? The skeleton's coming out. The auto attacks. Oh, the blocking by the bear actually on the Forsaken Archer, but the nuke and the final auto attack coming out from Mallet right there on Ophelia does pick up the Bloodlust kill. So very good use of the haste rune early on.
Yeah, well played. And actually, the first hit entangle came out onto Nox from the bear as well.
Oh, he did have entangle. Yeah, he was level 3. Wow, I thought he was level 2.
Yeah, so it did hit Nox, and that could have been pretty bad, but luckily there was a haste rune up on Ophelia. So good gank coming out from Male.
Yeah, I apologize. At the beginning of that, I said there was no entangle, but yeah, I for some reason I thought.
Oh my god, another entangle actually on a Forsaken Archer. Couple more auto attacks, she might die. She does do the Hell Potion. Boo Boo's pretty slow at this point. Oh, that was so close, but Moon getting the better end of this RNG.
Yeah, no boots just yet, of course. So if you had boots, definitely could have picked up that kill, but not just yet. So Forsaken Archer barely lives, but again, that's one of many reasons why Wildsoul can be so powerful in that suicide lane. So, but again, in the end, Q Squad does get the kill onto him, and obviously that is great. Nox actually get the kill? No, Ophelia got the kill, but you could argue maybe that is even a little bit better for Q Squad. And you talked about Malay, his impact on how his farm was going to be is definitely important. So getting that kill and the Bloodlust kill, very good start for him, as he is getting nearly, in fact, picking up the Shield of the 5 right there. So going to be going for an early plated Greaves as his first item of choice, actually. Very early plated Greaves, actually. But again, you look at this team, a lot of pushing presence. Ophelia, Keeper, and Forsaken specifically. So definitely making a point right there that they wanna group up earlier on and make some pushes happen.
Keeper's actually doing Ancients right now. He realizes he can't do anything in the bottom lane right now. Even being a Keeper of the Force, he's actually going to pick up a regen rune. It might get spotted out by Franzi right here. Might try to put some aggression. He has the Aurora up, and he's going to cancel the regen right away. So good job by him. But having that extra vision and then Keeper still will be able to do some of these Ancients, and that's good for him.
Yeah, Engineer going to leech some experience too, as he also gives Keeper a mana potion actually. So nice little support and love tap going on right there. But yeah, my Keeper he cleans out the Ancients pretty effectively. Middle lane, okay, those are just a Burning Shadows illusions. There's mass initiation, but nope, not really too much. Obviously, Engineer wasn't there, so Silhouette Glacier is trying to take advantage. But Fade is a little bit too quick. Speaking of Fade, how's this middle matchup going? 20-3 Fade compared to a 23-6 Silhouette. So it seems like it's pretty close. I mean, Silhouette's slight advantage, but not too shabby. Is that expected?
Yeah, this is exactly expected, actually. You have dual range against this melee hero of Fade. So she's not able to get as much farm as she wants to. Now, at the same time, there's not really that much kill potential coming out from Silhouette Glacius. It's not all there, but you're going to be able to put out some auto-attack harass and still get lots of creep kills on his Silhouette.
Keeper, what is he having delivered? A ring? Oh, no, he's going actually just boots and a lot of regen. So, yeah, no ring just yet. Again, his farm obviously not that great. Oh, the Courier, a little bit of mis-microing here. Courier was still hanging around. So he's going to send it back. But
the Ancients were triple stacked right away by last QQ. Moon, right on Q, actually walked over there to actually some action in mid. As his Silhouette using the tree grapple so damn close. Almost gets taken out right there.
That was big because he actually nearly was out of mana. The coL nearly burned enough mana to not allow him to tree grapple, but he was able to. Meanwhile, at the bottom lane, Keeper the 4 is going to be jumped on. I believe he should be fine. No, Stalagmites weren't even used yet, actually. Going to go for the hero block now. The Nature's Vow comes out. He is dusted still, and yes, it will be enough. So great collapse onto him. I'm surprised that, I thought the Stalagmites were on cooldown, but no, they were not. He hadn't used them yet, and sure enough, picks up the kill on a Jonathan fan at least.
Yeah, Rune spawns bottom. That's a very good kill for them. They did use the dust and picked it up quite early. And got a very easy kill out of it. But yeah, like I was saying, before the action in mid is the Ancients are actually triple stacked. And I know that Moon likes to, as a lot of Wild Soul players, if they can't get anything top, they just go to the Ancients and start farming those. Well, he clearly can't farm those at all. They're Ancients, they're triple stacked.
That is interesting, yeah.
And he started to go for them, and actually Boo Boo almost died immediately. That's how much damage was coming out. Yeah, she dies right there. If he gets aggressed on right here, a kill, that would be huge. Because that bear would be on cooldown for a long, long time.
Yeah, that'd be really bad timing, and that would really, really hinder him, of course. But
Nox is pulling up a lot of gold, and I don't know why.
Oh god, who was doing this later? That was, I want to say, Jeppins for Domain of Pain.
Yeah.
We were really
okay, there he goes.
Stressing. Okay, goes to the side shop, picks up the Steam Boots. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, once again, Silhouette in some trouble. He's going to tree grapple again, though, and he will be able to get away. So Axeron doing a pretty good job of that. Again, the last time he barely had enough mana. This time he does have more than enough. And he is able to survive. But it does seem like this Fade Engineer combination, as the levels add up, it's getting to be a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more annoying for Silhouette.
Well, the ulti on the Wild, so one more attack, and he does get the solo kill. So Nox doing a very good job up here in the top lane.
65 seconds still in the cooldown for Boo Boo.
Oh, wow.
So no bear. He's going to respawn, and it'll be about 45 seconds or so when he respawns again. So maybe by the time he gets back to the lane and when it really would have been impactful, it still might not be the biggest deal in the world, but it's going to hinder him a little bit. And if anything, this could be now a tower push. No, poor coming in. And actually, Forsaken Archer needs to be careful. He is pretty low on life. But he'll be fine. But Forsaken Archer, by the way, look at Nox's farm again. 300 gold per minute. Okay, so it's not. I thought it was actually a little bit more impressive, but still, it is pretty impressive. You do compare it to B-Kid, though, who's at 370. So B-Kid, yet again, having another great start on Pebbles.
Keeper the Forest might actually go for a Courier Sniper here. The rune spawns is actually going to be top, and Silhouette will pick that up. That's a double damage. A pretty good rune for them. Look at Keeper. He's trying to spot this out. No, he can't. The Courier is placed in a good way. So he's actually, by the way, in the Legion jungle right now, trying to get as much farm as he can. And in the meantime, though, Pebbles is getting complete free farm in the bottom lane, and that's always a scary thing.
Yeah, again, just like last game, B-Kid doing this. He had, I think it was like an 11.5-minute portal key. He's on route to even get a faster portal key, believe it or not. Fade is actually looking to maybe open the Silhouette again. Engineer only level 4 right now, but Fade is level 6, going to open right there with the Invis auto attack. In comes Ophelia as well with the Minotaur. The Minotaur's not even necessary. Does pick up the kill, and actually Nova on Engineer gets credit for it. So the third time's a charm, I guess. That's the third time we saw at least. It finally does connect and gets the kill on Ophelia, or excuse me, on a Silhouette. Good assistance from Ophelia is what I meant to say. And actually, Keeper the Force now going to collapse on a Glacius right here. He does have a, no, he doesn't have a root. Never mind. Maybe trying to snipe the Courier once again, but
yeah.
No, yes, okay, that'll be fine though.
It does fly as the mid lane is getting pushed here, actually. The tier 1 tower in mid. Keeper the Force is here, but Andromeda Glacius Not exactly the strongest counter push in the world. They might even try to go for a kill right there, but the tower does go down. So we talked about that early push coming out from QsQ, and it's already in effect. As you actually saw before, Nox actually, when he got that kill on the Wild Soul, he almost pushed the top tower himself as well, but dipped a little bit too low.
Wow, so we are going to have basically a 9.5-minute portal key here on Pebbles. I mean, he has more than enough gold for it, but he wants to finish off this last creep wave here before he goes to the side shop and purchase it, I'm sure. But he'll be able to pick it up. He'll probably buy a homecoming stone as well. And we'll see if maybe he can jump somewhere right away with this pickup. So a 9.5-minute portal key, basically. As soon as he clicks the items, there we go. And where is he going to go now is the question. Will he just stay down here? Top is being pushed a little bit, so.
He can get a free kill on top, and they're already trying to set something up there. So this would be perfect timing. He needs to TP like right now, though. And he's not TPing, and I believe, yeah, the glyph was already used mid, so top tower's going to fall. I feel like Beacon could have been up there to maybe do something, but decides not to. Fate's also, is he invis? I can't tell because he's using the Ghost Marshal. Yeah, he is invis.
Yes, he is trying to find that opening, and actually Wild Soul going to be that opening. Burning Shadows connect. There's a crippling volley and the piercing arrows that tears through Wild Soul. He was not in ulti form. Freeze on a Fade, however. Nice Minotaur stun on a Pebbles, though, as soon as he poured it in. But that shock, the Hail Mary arm of Pebbles still gets the kill. Nonetheless, again, that was actually a great play by Malay, stopping the portal key jump from Pebbles. But, as we saw, Beacon still making big plays with that chuck.
Yeah, that was a really good job. I think a sliver of the damage from the ult from the Forsaken Archer might have also hit him, but nonetheless, yeah, you're right. Male's securing that fact. The Pebbles not being able to use that. Not to mention, the jig is up. They now know that he has the portal key. And he used it, he TP'd top. He's not going to be able to TP for another 50 seconds or so, and is farming in the top lane. And normally, when you get that portal key, you just want to gank. You want to help out your team right away by using all that farm that you soaked up from the time being. So, yeah, big play, though, for QsQ.
Silhouette almost overstaying his welcome. And actually, if he goes back in here, he will need to be careful because Keeper is ready to set up with a root. He does come out right there, though, so and maybe not at this point. Haxman doesn't have his ultimate, but without follow-up for Keeper, this Haxman should be fine. But yeah, so right now, though, QsQ is in the lead, and actually going back to Nox, it is starting to take off actually a little bit now. 365 gold per minute. I keep comparing it to Pebbles, who actually continues to stay a pretty decent amount ahead, but Forsaken Archer's farm is very good. He actually just picked up a Quick Blade now, going the Whispering Helm first, by the way, in terms of his farm. So clearly making the point that he wants to make this more of a farming game than anything. So what do you make of that, actually?
Yeah, I don't know if I would make this a farming game. I mean, you do have a good lead right now, and things are pretty secure, but against a Wild Soul Silhouette, with especially Andromeda in the mix, because Andromeda is so good in the late game, can swap out those heroes, adds lots of damage to Silhouette specifically. I don't know if you really want to take this in the late game. So now he is going to be farming a considerable amount. If he's able to go for this, like Firebrand and then the Shrunken Head, and actually triple stack Ancients are getting sniped out right here. This could be a big exchange, though.
Oh, look at Engineer. He's going to be spotted, but in jumps Pebbles. Actually, Engineer Wolfwall couldn't get the ultimate off. Fade also spotted as well. He probably should have realized that he could have been spotted. He's going to try to open. No, he's going to go away from the Raft, though. The creeps are still up. They're finally falling, though, and the majority of them did go in favor of the Hellborn team, but at what cost right here? Pebbles still chasing. Out of mana, though, however. Won't be able to do too much. Burning Shadow's going to be... There's a root coming out. Here's a crippling volley. No piercing arrows, though, as he used it on the Ancient. Swap coming out from Andromeda, but that will sacrifice her as usual. We do see a kill, though, on a Forsaken Archer coming out, and that's an exchange that Complexity will take every day of the week. So, I don't know. I mean, they did clear up the triple stack Ancients for the most part, but in the end, Forsaken does die.
Yeah, that was pretty sloppy by QsQ and just got way too greedy for taking those. But more importantly, they had a counter ward up from Franzi, and they spotted out both the Invis Glacius and the ulted Fade. So it was like a double whammy. And had that counter ward not been there, it actually would have been a huge exchange for QsQ. But the counter ward did a lot of work.
Yeah, always love those pauses. It's like pause 5 seconds, ready? Okay, let's go. The countdown was to resume. So, but again, going back to those Ancients real quickly, those were still stacked from the very beginning that you talked about.
Yeah.
When LesQQ was busy doing that. Not LesQQ, but yeah, no, I believe he was. Anyway, somebody was stacking them and got those triple stacked early on. So, but in the end, we do see, oh, apparently Nova went AFK actually real quickly. Oh, look. Look at the bear, by the way. That bear is pissed, man.
Yeah. Oh my God, with
the face. Rawr. That's a freaky looking mouth, man. Anyways, but yeah, we're only 13 minutes into the game right here. It's a 5-4 hero kill advantage in favor of QsQ. So despite that exchange maybe not being the most friendly for QsQ in the end, still, overall, seems to be going pretty well for them, and the pushing has definitely been having an impact. I mean, they have the 2 towers go. I thought they had 3, but no, both the top and the middle have been destroyed. The bottom one has been yet to be touched, so we'll see if QsQ maybe looks to rotate down there. Fade, though, we were going to see a little bit right there, but again, as we saw and you noted, she got spotted out by that Rev as well. But we'll keep an eye. You know, this is definitely a time where she could start moving around a little bit more by herself. She does have the 2 assists so far. Does she have gold saved up? But only about 700, so not really that much just yet. But expect Style to be moving around, try to set up ganks on both this Glacius and Andromeda, especially, as they are underleveled and underfarmed for that matter.
Yeah.
So.
But they are. Well, one of the other heroes that's actually kind of underleveled, surprisingly, is Ophelia. I feel like Ophelia should be a higher level than this. Now, she was in the jungle, and you think about Keeper of the Forest, she really wasn't able to get much early on. Now, it did transfer to the Ancients and then ultimately the Legion jungle, but I feel like Ophelia should be a much higher level than that.
Yeah, how is she only level 6? Wow. She's 1-0-2. I mean, she's been farming decent. Yeah, that is shocking. And actually, you know, obviously this is something you stress all the time is when you have a jungler versus a non-jungler, that should be the experience advantage for that jungler team. And when you look at the XPM chart, it's actually pretty even between those her and Engineer and then Andromeda Glacius, honestly. So.
Yeah, and that is surprising. And actually, if you do look at her farm, despite her being 1-0-2, so getting most of her farm actually from hero kills and assists, she only has 37 CS. So that tells me that she's been spending a lot of time trying to set up ganks, which is great with an Ophelia. Don't get me wrong, but okay, she does just ink 7 right there. So making a little bit of a difference. But yeah, I still feel like she could be farming a little bit more with the creeps and just should have a little bit of a higher level.
Yeah. Forsaken Archer going somewhat interesting here, actually picking up a Soul Scream ring. So the Energizer, very possible to be picked up here. Even now, I'm guessing she's going to finish the Firebrand because she is sitting on the Duck or the Fleet Feet as well as the Quick Blade. So it just needs the pattern, of course, but a little bit interesting there nonetheless. Silhouette actually stacking this jungle camp. I thought it was triple stacked. No, that was only double, but Fade was actually sitting there invis, so he prevented it from being triple stacked. So good play right there from Fade. But Silhouette will still clean it up nonetheless and get some decent farm out of that. But yeah, this is really interesting from Forsaken Archer, picking up a Soul Scream ring and then very likely going to be finishing a Firebrand. We'll see. I mean, I kind of wonder, actually, if she is going to eventually upgrade that to an Energizer here. You know, Ophelia, we have seen that before. I know Moon especially loves to go Energizer on Ophelia. And it seems like that is an item that we have been seeing more and more of. But, ooh, Crippling Volley just to stop this push here. It actually wants to kill Boo Boo here in the middle lane. Will Forsaken Archer do enough damage? No, barely not enough damage. But a good attempt nonetheless from Nox.
Yeah.
But what would you make of an Energizer choice here on Forsaken if he chooses to go for that?
It's okay. I feel like I would have purchased it a little bit earlier, but it wouldn't be bad for the team composition. Like, I feel like with this team QsQ, you kind of need to end this early, to be honest. Forsaken Archer can carry somewhat nicely in the late game, but like I said, against a Wild Soul, Pebbles, Andromeda, Silhouette, basically every member of that team except for Glacius is so strong in the late game. So yeah, I really feel like it needs to be ended shortly here. So with that being said, Energizer wouldn't be that bad. But like I said, she has the Firebrand. I really feel like it should be Firebrand into, oh, here comes a combination on the Fade to absolutely destroy. So Style gets taken out in one combo from B-Kid. They do get the tower kill bottom, but that was a huge exchange there for B-Kid.
Yeah, B-Kid, man, continuing both games today now. Again, both happen to be Pebbles, but he has been just a farming machine, really. Up there in the GPM once again, he's 4-0-1. Obviously, that helping, but the free farm he had in the laning phase, of course, on top of that is just what's making it. These Ancients are going to be triple stacked here on the Legion side, by the way, and I'm guessing Pebbles actually is going to take the majority of the farm. Oh, never mind. They're just going to keep them doubled, I guess. It was actually pretty close, but they're just going to go for the double. Glacial Downpour even being used, so spreading the farm a little bit right there. But nothing wrong with sharing. Speaking of that, how is good old Wild Soul doing? We're 16 minutes into the game. He has boots on himself, not on Boo Boo, but he does have 3,000 gold saved up. So that's sort of the high in the near future. And then, of course, the Mock of Brilliance finishing to follow. So it seems like, you know, he's not the fastest pace by any means, but Moon Meander is doing decent here. As far as his Wild Soul farm goes, Pebble's going to be jumped in the middle lane, but Fade not nearly enough damage to get a kill. Even with the Skeleton King assistance, just doing some harassment and getting him to fall back. So, yeah, I mean, this again, Forsaken Archer, she does have 1,100 gold saved out, so something tells me she actually isn't going to be going Energizer, which makes it even just more curious as to why she picked up the Soul Screaming so late.
Yeah.
Here, it's kind of odd, but
it's just a small build-up item. It doesn't cost that much, so
yeah.
Not exactly the biggest deal in the world. But and she doesn't. It's not like she needs an item slot. You know, it's not like she has a ring of the a ring of the teacher and a power supply, and she has too many item slots being taken up. So it's not that big of a deal. But like I said, I really do feel like QsQ needs to end this early. Like, I feel like they need to start grouping up and fighting more as a team. They have the Astrolabe up onto Ophelia. That's great for her. And maybe it's that Shrunken Head. Like, maybe it's going to be the Shrunken Head onto Forsaken Archer. And they do have the Blink on a Keeper, actually. Very well, job well done by Jonathan Fan.
Well, I mean, that does go back to the argument, though, of, as we talked about from the very beginning, when Forsaken Archer went the Whispering Helm first, and that usually determines that you want to make this more of a farming game to eventually into the late game stage. But as you keep the theme going back to, though, you don't know if that really is the best decision here for Q Squad. So, I mean, you would figure, obviously by now, she could have had a early Shrunken Head, and they could have been grouping up and making some pushes, perhaps, if she went that route. But is choosing to go more the farming route, and has another 1,700 gold saved up, again, with the items that she has. You kind of expect her farm to start really increasing, but not choosing to make pushes just yet.
There's nothing wrong with the first item Shrunken Head on Forsaken Archer. There really isn't. Forsaken Archer, she's been popular in this competitive scene for years, like for so long, ever since she came out, really. And I would see builds all the time of first item Shrunken Head on the Forsaken Archer. It's not that uncommon. It's not that bad either. And especially with a hero, like I said, yeah, she can do some work in the late game, but she's really more of an early to mid game hero, in my opinion. And so an item like Shrunken Head with this team, here comes a big fight up top.
Oh, Engineer. I really feel like, if anything, using the turret just to cancel the porta key from Pebbles really would have been the most effective choice right there. Instead, he almost went for an awkward keg stun. It wasn't even close, honestly. So, not the best choice there, I really don't think, from Nova coming out. And as a result, both Pebbles and, I believe that was Glacius, are easily able to kind of scoot on out of there, despite all those ports happening. From Q Squad. So a lot of resources used, get nothing out of it. And they're going to fall to the middle lane because you do see now the Legion team going to try to take advantage and push here. We'll see if they actually get the tower kill.
Yeah, and they stopped them. I mean, they stopped themselves, actually, from taking Kongor. Mid lane's getting, here we go with initiation.
Oh, Engineer gets caught. The Ophelia's touch. He gets the Entity ultimate as a result. And Engineer will survive. There's that keg stun. Great root coming up for Keeper of the Forest. Fade trying to help turn this around on Pebbles. Pebbles a little bit too tanky, though. Forsaken Archer, crippling volley, going to miss. But their piercing arrows will tear through Pebbles somewhat. Not the most damage, though. And it looks like Pebbles will stay alive in the end. So great getaway on his part. Now, neither side loses any heroes, but Complexity did get the tower kill. So that actually does work out for Complexity when it's all said and done there. And actually, Moonmeander is seconds away from now finishing that Mock of Brilliance as it goes over to the double-stacked Ancients here. So
yeah, the exchange top was huge because not only it did so many things. It stopped a lot of heroes on the Hellborn team from farming because they all ported up there. They wasted their ports. They didn't get an exchange out of it. It stopped them from taking Kongor, and it gave Complexity the tower in mid. So it did a lot of bad things for QsQ. So you really got to be careful about using mass ports like that, especially if you can't set up that kill nicely. And you mentioned, I didn't see it, but you mentioned that maybe it would have been a smarter choice for the turret to fall first instead of a keg stun, which is a very awkward stun at times.
Yeah, it's obviously a little bit longer to even connect, and it's just, again, as we saw, it was just frankly nowhere close to even hitting. So definitely missing out right there, and the sequence of events add up in favor of Complexity. Now, overall, 20.5 minutes in, the stats, basically say that this is an even game. I mean, it is 5-5 hero kills. The gold and experience, for that matter, are both pretty identical here. Not too big of a swing on either side. But it does kind of feel like that Complexity does have the upper hand at this point. Forsaken Archer, she actually chooses to finish Geometer's Bane here, so not even really enforcing the Shrunken Head. Even more of a reason, making more of a statement, I should say, that she really just wants to just continue farming here, honestly. Granted, Geometer's Bane obviously brings presence to team fights too, but yeah, you can argue maybe not like a Shrunken Head. So Token of Life is going to be picked up, however, and obviously that is big news here for Q Squad.
Yeah, but I mean, Geometer's Bane is fine. She just really needs a Shrunken Head. It's not so much the item pickups, it's just the overall team play from QsQ. Like, again, the numbers are still in their favor, but I really do. I mean, look at the lineup that Complexity has. Shrunken Head up onto Pebbles now, so he's going to be able to walk through that energy field and pretty much all the stuns and what have you from the QsQ team. But I really feel like they just have QsQ's number in the late game. I really do. So, like I said, the longer this goes, I really do think that Complexity is going to have the better end of this.
Yeah, how was Silhouette been doing, by the way? We really haven't talked too much about Haxron, honestly.
Yeah.
He is going for that Geometer Spin himself, it looks like, by the way. I mean, he's got Steam Boost, Mystic Vestments, some early on items, but he does have the Fire Ramp, Blessed Orb. Top tower goes down. Pebbles might be in some trouble. He does have a Portal Key, though, and he's just waiting for the right time. In fact, there we go. He avoids the Keg Stun, and Beacon will survive. So great tower kill by Beacon, somehow managing to snipe it, and then survive, and he takes over once again the top farm in the game. Granted, it's very close to Forsaken, in fact, pretty much tied right now, but the fact that he's competing as well as he is with this Forsaken is actually pretty impressive, I must say. So, and then you got a Silhouette, once again going back to Haxron. He has just been climbing up and up, doing it quietly, but there you go. Geometer's being now finished on him too, so.
Yeah, and there's the Shrunken Head in the works for Forsaken Archer. The only thing I'm scared of is, like I said, it's great, Geometer's Bane is cool and all, but she just really isn't going to do that much damage, I feel. By the time she completes that, you have the Mock abilities already up on a Wild Soul. And Silhouette is a great hero in the sense that she still does damage regardless of what items she has with that Relentless Salvo and the Death Lotus. So, I mean, it's a great item pickup, but I just feel like they could have grouped up a lot earlier with the lead that they had early on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, with the lead and then the team makeup. I really keep going back to that. And actually, stressing that even more, as there you go, he finally finishes it. But Jonas Fan here on Keeper, he just finished a Ring of Sorcery. Usually we see that as first item on Keepers in most cases. I mean, he actually did value the Portal Key over the Ring of Sorcery first, so we got that first on top of finishing his Steam Boots, but he finally does have a Ring of Sorcery now. Revelation is down. That's the Hellborn team, though. They are going to catch Pebbles Hour here. Will it be enough follow-up damage? It wasn't last time, and it's not going to be this time. Forsaken Archer trying to assist, but the Shrunken Head from Pebbles able to help him get away. We do see a turnaround attempt in the works. Give it the Force Root over to use. There's the energy field in the background as well. Pebbles is dropping. Pebbles will fall when it's all said and done. So a great pick right there. The root coming out from Boo Boo, locking down Forsaken Archer. Does have that Mocker Brilliance taken, but the crippling volley connects, and now Wild Soul in no man's land. He does not have support nearby. He will fall. Pebbles bought back, by the way. In jumps Silhouette. There jumps Pebbles. Forsaken Archer will fall. No, he barely stays alive. He is going to finally fall. Oh my god, he is still alive. Finally going down. But, of course, the Token of Life going to bring him back up. Keeper of the Force was ported back to base, by the way. And now Forsaken Archer is on the run. Ophelia does have another port back in 6 seconds. He's going to port out himself, though. There's the jump from Pebbles. Will they be able to make this happen? Nice crippling volley and piercing arrows. A swap from Andromeda. Does get him in range for a stun, but Forsaken Archer just out of range. A stutter step right there. Geometer's Bane in 1 second. No, he cannot use it, and down goes Forsaken. A great pursuit at the end there from Complexity, and they do pick up the kill.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah, the only reason they were able to win that fight is the buyout coming up from B-Kid. Had he not bought out, that would have been a completely different fight, so good job by him. And, I mean, they actually did a pretty damn good job of locking him down, even despite the fact that he used that Shrunken. And he was on the run for most of that fight. I thought it was going to be pretty bad for QsQ because it was one of those things of, Pebbles used the Shrunken, I'm going to go in and use my Keeper of the Forest Ultimate, but just to cancel it. But it doesn't really do any damage. It doesn't really do that much. And I was pretty fearful, but Molly actually did some really good microing of the creeps by not only blocking Pebbles the whole time, but also applying damage and canceling the Portal Key. So, I mean, yeah, it still was kind of even there, but you did have the buyout from B-Kid, and so it did look like Complexity did win that fight.
Yeah, it almost could have been a crazy escape from Nox, too, because as I said, he had the Geometer's Bane coming up in 1 second right as he died. So if he's able to use that and maybe gets some support after the last second, that could have been pretty epic. But in the end, they get the kill on him, and that's definitely where you can argue where Complexity maybe came out on top. But yeah, the buyback obviously will slow down Beacon a little bit there. Granted, with the Portal Key Shrunken Head, you could definitely argue that, he is just good to go in this game, honestly. But, nothing wrong with getting even more. But Forsaken Archer is now back up, and you got to think, too, that she will have a Shrunken Head in the next fight. So that's something to keep in mind as well if you are Complexity, as having to deal with that. But also the Mocker Brilliance Bear, that seemed like it did plenty of work that last fight, too. And actually, speaking of Boo Boo, he actually is very close to finishing a Soul's Bulwark here. He does have a couple of ring mails on him. So on the way to that, and actually we see Complexity now, they're going to be the ones to group up here and start making some pushing themselves.
Oh man, Nova was playing so far up. I thought he was going to die for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
That was very, very scary. But Boo Boo, what does he do best? That's push towers.
Easy tower kill for Complexity.
My god, Haxron's farm is just skyrocketed that last fight.
Yeah, wow.
Absolutely skyrocketed.
It is up there now. 445 basically. He does have the Mighty Blade. You'd assume that's going to turn into the Shrunken Head here, of course. So that on top of the Geometer's Bane, big. But actually, I mentioned Forsaken Archer very likely would have a Shrunken Head next fight. Doesn't look like it at this point, actually. But Fate is going to open. Here we go. Great Burning Shadows. There's that Kex out. It pushes them backwards. I don't know if that's what he wanted. The piercing arrows coming out, but not the most damage. It will be. Oh, nice swap at the last second. But a great root coming out for Keeper of the Forest. All 5 are hit. The Shrunken Head going to be used by Pebbles. Wild Soul already picked off. Keeper of the Forest getting turned on. But Forsaken Archer with that split fire doing plenty of damage. Pebbles realizing he needs to run now. Silhouette, those are just illusions, so that's just fine. Andromeda will pour it out. And in the end, it's actually a 1-for-2 in favor of Complexity. So it seemed like QsQ could have made a big turn right there. But Complexity gets back safely, and they only suffer the Wild Soul death, actually.
Yeah, and Forsaken Archer's auto attack damage is just pretty crappy. Like, she's trying to go into the Glaciers and Silhouette there at the end that had half HP and just wasn't really doing any damage to them. And again, that's I said it so many times, I'll say it again, they don't have the late game. And they're trying to take it to the late game for some reason, I feel, with the way that they're playing this and the way that they're farming instead of pushing early on. And you see, I mean, Haxton, all he has at that point for that fight was the Geometer's Bane. But with the damage the increase that you get from Andromeda, who, by the way, didn't max both Aurora and the Dimensional Link, is providing a lot of damage to Haxton just without any other extra items. Has the Shrunken Head now, and it's just dishing out so much damage.
Yeah. I love this. I mean, there are some lineups you could argue where maybe maxing out the Comet Stun first is priority because you just want as much burst damage as possible. But in this lineup especially, I love this build on Andromeda. You know, maxing out the Aurora and the Dimensional Link, as it's called, as you mentioned, it's huge. So the fact that he's increasing his team's damage by 32 or 36% base damage, it actually is, and then applying the -5 armor as well to these opponents, and that minus base damage as you talked about. Yeah, it's she really is having a big impact, I'm sure. And of course, then there's the Void Rip that we're constantly seeing from Franzi. So. Andromeda, man, underrated support. We keep on stressing this, both you and I, that it is surprising that we maybe just don't see her. Well, we don't see her a whole lot. So, but definitely doing some big work here for Complexity. But again, according to the stats, this does continue to be a very close game, honestly. You do have a Forsaken Archer who's level 18, continuing to be at the top. Yeah, she's barely on top, but you also mentioned Haxton really coming back strong on Silhouette, and now has that Shrunken Head Geometer's Bane. Pebbles getting caught by a Skeleton King here. Engineer's kind of running on top of Pebbles this whole time, but it looks like Complexity, they want to keep the aggression up. They're the ones that are now pushing continuously. Forsaken Archer ports in. There's the Skeleton King trap on a Silhouette. No follow-up, though. We'll be fine for now. This tower is going to fall. Will it be denied? It's going to be close. Oh, nice denied there at the last second. However, there was a quick pick on a Style, actually. In the meantime, Pebbles jumps in. I feel like going to be targeted towards. She's going to heal up, though. In comes the roof for Keeper of the Forest. Shrunken Head going off from Pebbles right there. There was a buyback, actually, from Fade. She's running back. Going to take that combo on the split fire once again from Forsaken Archer. Not using the piercing, or she did use the piercing arrows. Actually, a great Burning Shadow stun. Trying to finish them off again. Will get the kill to Wild Soul. Will she get Glacius? Barely. Oh, one more auto attack. Yes, it is going to go off. And down goes Glacius, but Silhouette jumps back in, takes out Ophelia and Fade right there. Down goes the Wild Soul, though, I believe that was. And now Silhouette's on the run. It looks like she should be fine. Keeper's chasing, but he doesn't have any traps. And now Jonas a fan, not sure what that was about because now he's in trouble. Okay, he is going to survive, though, when it's all said and done. So another crazy finish. Pebbles all the way up here. He ports back to base with barely any life. But QsQ does hold it off.
Not really. They used the Fade buyback, and she died again. Beacon just basically soloing down all the supports in the background. Like, was pursuing them the whole time, and it was basically Nox versus Silhouette towards towards the end. And, you know, I am surprised. Moon has died a lot this game. And I don't know if his positioning is just kind of bad in these team fights, but or they're just focusing him down, but has died a lot. And honestly hasn't had the biggest impact in these team fights, but he is like fodder for the rest of it for his team. Like, they're just going on him. He's soaking up a lot of damage from the enemy team. And I'm sure that makes him happy because it's going to give more time to Silhouette to get the items that she needs. And,
yeah.
Now, Nox, he does have the higher level advantage. He's level 20.
And he just got a Slayer.
Does have a Slayer, so keeping them in this game in that sense. But I still feel, I go back to Andromeda having that impact specifically with Silhouette. Andromeda does now have level 11, which I think is a huge step for Andromeda. Having that level 2 Void Rip is such a big difference, I feel, in team fights. The lower cooldown and the vastly increased swap range.
Yeah, you definitely bring that up whenever we see Andromeda, and a good point to reiterate. I will say, though, I think this is going to be that key moment, though, specifically for QsQ. So we mentioned Nox has a Slayer, as does Silhouette, actually. So, again, she really has caught up, and she's just neck for neck now with this Forsaken, even. But once that Savage Mace is completed here, we're going to really get a great idea of where this game is ultimately at. Because Q Squad, if they can manage to definitely take a team fight with that Savage Mace on Forsaken, that'll make a point to complexity that, all right, you know, maybe we did let her get a little bit too out of hand, and she can definitely carry for this team. But, you know, at this rate, they're not even going to allow that to happen. I mean, again, complexity continuing to play aggressive. And how do you feel about that? I mean, do you think that this is actually what they need to be doing, just keep pushing?
Well, it seems to be working. I mean, Fade is dying like immediately in every single team fight. He isn't able to really get off that much. He's died 6 times himself, actually. And I think they can. I think they can.
Mm-hmm. So, you do got, again, push here in the middle lane. Boo Boo, of course, in the front lines. The Bearer respawn on a 15-second cooldown, so while it's still not the biggest deal there, even if it does happen to get caught out, should have the Resurrection good to go. Forsaken Archer does not have buyback at this point. She has 1,300 gold saved up. She does have it right now, but of course with the death, probably would put her under the amount. So,
yeah,
needs to be careful about that. Dying right here. Of course, Conqueror is up. Has he been killed yet? I don't.
Yeah.
Well, yes, he was killed once. That's right, by the Hellborn team. So, was on Forsaken Archer. But here we go. Another push. Of course, the Soulsborg doing the minus armor effect. Specifically on that tower. Crippling Volley going to be used. No piercing arrows just yet, though. And Boo Boo dropping, but Pebbles jumps Sansa. Here's a go time. Forsaken Archer, the target of choice. The Storm Spirit coming out, though. And now down comes Forsaken. The split up from the Geometer's Bane. Swap out from the Void Rift Andromeda. Going to keep Pebbles alive. Forsaken Archer on the run. The energy field doing work as well, kind of blocking out complexity. And in the end, the tower will fall, so no hero deaths, and not really a whole lot of their fate. What is Style doing right there? Completely diving in. Definitely some microing going on, but he will survive. Yeah, not sure about that at the end, but they get the tower.
Oh, man, that could have been way worse for Complexity. That was a pretty bad initiation from B-Kid. He blinked in there. He didn't have the initial combo. Waited so long to cast the Shrunken. In fact, he didn't cast it at all.
Oh, wow.
And there was this very questionable initiation. But nonetheless, Complexity still came out on top. Boo Boo just putting so much damage in that tower. And if they're not even, like, killing anybody in these team fights, like I said, Boo Boo just being able to pummel auto-attacks in the tower the whole time, they don't really have to kill anybody because they're just taking down the base.
Here we go, though, Conqueror. This is the second Conqueror attempt. It is going to be gone on by Q Squad. Obviously, Complexity very aware, though. The Aurora already being used. Boo Boo helping to scout out. In fact, taking out some Ward of Sights there, as well as the Ward of Rev. So the Bound Down Wild Soul doing work. And that gets Q Squad to say, all right, not going to happen. So they fall back. Forsaken Archer goes over to his Ancients. Going to double stack them here and look to take them out. And actually, it looks like Complexity also going to fall back. So, again, Q Squad really just trying to buy enough time, especially for the Savage Mace to be finished here on Forsaken Archer. Then maybe that's kind of their key moment of really feeling pretty confident that they can make something happen now in these team fights and win them even. But Complexity, they're also sticking around nearby. So both teams really, definitely making a point that they're just fine getting involved in a fight right here. And Fade is actually going to initiate once again. Again, there is that Bound Die on Wild Soul. He isn't nearby just yet, but it will get Fade to start falling back. As Style, he's been caught out several times this game by those revs and whatnot, so he does need to be careful.
Yeah. Going
to be fine for now, though.
Yeah, and Forsaken Archer, she's got that Savage Mace in, what, another 500 gold or so? Something
close,
like that. Yeah, she's very, very close.
I don't know, though. Do you think she needs to buy it right away, though? Because, again, there's always that buyback situation.
Yeah, well, it's pretty damn risky to buy it, actually, in full, unless you have the Token of Life on you, because you die in one team fight as Complexity's pushing in, your base will fall in a matter of seconds to Wild Soul. So you have to have that buyout available or have the Token of Life. But the thing is I was going to say, the thing is as you know, and as the numbers start to slowly go in favor of Complexity, you should know by this point that you do not have the late game at all compared to Complexity. So I feel like you kind of do need to go all in, but I feel like Hatchman just bought his as well. Spent a lot of gold. Yeah, he has his as well, so I don't know, man. It's going to be pretty close.
It's going to be tough. Pebbles actually going for pick. A great keg stun actually by Nova, and the Ophelia heal on top of that will keep him alive. So that's some good news there. Now, granted, it is a fairly long cooldown for the Ophelia's touch, so if Complexity makes a push here or something, they probably wouldn't have that for a team fight, but at least Engineer stays alive, so good job. Good initial keg stun as well by Nova, like I said. Landed right as he got jumped on.
Yeah.
But that was close.
Conqueror might get attempted right here, right now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're kind of walking back and forth. They're warding, actually, to see it, but pretty sure that ward was spotted by Nova, so
yeah,
maybe they can cancel that. They do have a Bound Die just purchased by Nova, speaking of.
At this rate, Forsaken Archer actually is going to port back right here, not feeling too safe, and for good reason. No one really on the map, so yeah, he falls back and it'll be fine. He is getting close to buyback. I'm not exactly sure what it would be at this point, but oh, we have some possible initiation. Pebbles is in Viz, and he finds this at the time. Goes on an Engineer. Engineer is going to get the R off. There's a Storm Spirit. Out comes the energy field. No, he gets picked off just before. Forsaken Archer, though, with the Shotgun activated, pounding in damage with the split shot once again. No deaths so far in Complexity. Keeping the force jumps in. Finish off Pebbles right there. The illusions down all over the place. The swap out from Andromeda coming out, but there's the piercing arrows from Forsaken Archer. While still dropping Glacier in the background. They get the counter Forsaken. She does not have the buyback. Yep. Down goes Ophelia, and that could be the game like you were talking about. Silhouette trying to help finish off Keeper here as he goes in Fizz, but again, no buyback on Forsaken Archer. Keeper of the Force will be picked off as well. Fade is the only one up, and actually Pebbles did buy back for his second time, but he's joining the team in what's going to be a big push now by Complexity.
It's going to be 2 sets of racks easily. Just look at Boo Boo. I mean, he just damages. Look at it. In a matter of seconds, the racks are dead. You blink your eyes and they're dead. And I feel like Nox does this a lot of times where he buys out his items, and like I said, I kind of agree with him, but his positioning was just way too aggressive. And it's kind of like, fight to the death! Like, I'm in it and so are you. Like, I don't know. I feel like he needs to be a little bit more safe in these fights, but yeah. Man, like I said, you buy your items, you die, your racks are dead.
Look at that. Jeez. The ranged racks in the middle actually did stay alive, but obviously plenty of damage done there by Complexity. So Q Squad really on their back feet now for the first time in this game, honestly. I mean, this game has definitely been a very close game, if anything, where both teams have had some good chances. But now you have a case of Q Squad. It is falling behind here as we are entering more and more into that later game stage. And as you specifically predicted from the very beginning, really, this Q Squad makeup was more of a we need to get shit done basically by the mid game. We needed to win it by now, and it hasn't happened yet. So look at all the items being picked up, by the way, on the Legion side. You have an Energizer on Andromeda. Good things to have there. Abyssal Skull and Demonic Breastplate finished on a Wild Soul. So he's definitely more of an impact now. And I'm sure Silhouette, she actually purchased a Portal Key too. So she now has that mobility to work with. It's getting ugly here now for Q Squad, and basically at a one final stand now. They need to win this next fight, or it's 100% over. They are going to try to steal Conqueror, but of course there's a Ward Aside here by Franzi. Running out of time, about 58 seconds left, but it is going to spot them going in, and right away Complexity responding as they should. So Q Squad, it's going to be difficult unless they can get the lucky pick, the initiation and whatnot. Going to need some good things to happen for them.
Yeah, well, they have full vision. I mean, Complexity has full vision of what's going on. And I feel like this is just a death trap for them. I really do. They want to force the issue. Complexity does, for sure. Portal Key up on the Silhouette now as well.
There we go. They say, well, let's screw it. We're going to go in right here on a Forsaken Archer. He's going to be jumped. There's a split up, though. They're going to come now. And now trying to turn it. Root is going to hit Pebbles right there. Pebbles falling quickly. There's a swap, though, from Andromeda. The Energizer used, and Pebbles will get away. In the meantime, Engineer, their support's picked off. Fade is also now dropping. He just gets annihilated right there. And again, the damage is done. Forsaken Archer just on the run. He's used his cooldowns already, and his items at least. Keeper of the Force dropping the Savage Mace. There's the Entangle. Storm Spirit going to be used. But oh, no, we got sent back, actually. So that powerful combination coming into play. But the range Rex falls, and Complexity will probably just go back and finish off Conqueror now. And again, if it wasn't over already, you got to figure now with Conqueror especially, it ain't going to be happening here for Q Squad.
Yep, it's as simple as you let it go to the late game against a far superior late game team. And it really is that simple. I mean, you have all the heroes that you have on Complexity, Pebbles, Andromeda, all of them actually, literally, like I said, except for Glacius. And even Glacius can be effective as a hard support in the late game with his ultimate too. Has a push book, has an Astrolabe as well. Yeah, it's looking pretty grim at this moment for QsQ, and it's really their own fault, honestly. Like they had a better lead. They actually had a good makeup. I mean, Keeper Ophelia, that's damn strong, but they just didn't do anything with it. Like, they tried to take this to the late game. Initially, I thought that with the Whispering Helm picked up on Forsaken Archer and just waited too long.
Yep, it doesn't really get much simpler than that. Silhouette, whoa, you're in no man's land, buddy. He's going to be easily picked off. But again, even with that, is it going to matter? He starts taking a lot of damage as soon as he comes back up, but now Forsaken Archer's in some trouble. He's being chased down, wants to finish off Silhouette still. Silhouette dropping about half-life, going to finally Geometer's Bane, though. He will be fine. The initiation still continuing, piercing arrows. Fade will help get the pick off on Andromeda. Forsaken Archer and Silhouette going balls to the wall. They both will fall, it looks like, as it ends up being a 1-for-1. Now, Forsaken Archer does buy back, as does Silhouette, though. Silhouette's already back in, and she ports in with the illusion.
That's so imba.
And gets the kill. Yeah, that is pretty ridiculous. That she can go right back in a fight like that with a buyback. That's pretty OP, I must say. But Forsaken Archer just cleaning out the creep waves. Obviously, it's over. GG well played are being called. And that means Complexity is going to be moving on here. They will finish better than the previous cycle. Q Squad, the reigning runner-ups, of course, of cycle number 3. They're actually going to finish in 5th/6th place. So, again, still a respectable finish, but Q Squad, again, with the runs they've been having lately, had their moments, but you're right. Decision-making, man. Decision-making hurt them. It really did.
I mean, the team composition was good the last 2 games. They just made some poor decisions. And, I mean, Style was able to get nothing done as the Fade that game. He's 2-8-8, has 184 GPM to end. Just died way too many times. And, like I said, they still had that good lead early on, but they just didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line.
Yeah, so with that said, of course, that means Complexity again. Moving on, they are going to be awaiting the winner of the Lion TT Esports Series, which actually I do have an update on that real quickly. Lions did come back in game number 1, it looks like. And they took game 1, so they're up 1-0. And I believe game 2 is being played right now. They're about 25 minutes in, it looks like. It looks like Lions does have a lead earlier on, but it is very close, if anything. So with that said, we're not necessarily going to jump into that, and I say that specifically because actually I know Beef Pot Pie, he's actually casting it over on his stream. So if anything, we'll just go ahead and send you over there. I believe it's Complexity HoN, I want to say.
Yeah.
Is the so twitch.tv/Complexity HoN. Yeah, that's the name of the stream. You can head over there and watch the TT Esports Lion Series finish up if you would like. But real quickly before we wrap things up here for our first part of casting today, we do want to do one more picture here before we jump into the second half. We're going to take a break here first, but we'll do one more picture on the contest that we're running to give you guys a chance at home to go to the grand finals of HoN Tour, which we know right now are in Las Vegas in the Palms Hotel. But where in the Palms Hotel are they going to be? What suite? What suite is it going to be in? Here's your second image, your second hint, as far as where it may be. So, again, Malikan with the photobombing. Graphic freaking out right there. But you got Crooks Castles. Interesting.
Beats me.
Do you know where it is yet?
No.
I have no clue. All right, those are some odd hints, honestly. not too sure, But anyway,
I like
so
the hints like this.
Yeah,
and
Las
Vegas.
So yeah, those will be maybe later on today it'll get a little bit easier for you guys, but still pretty difficult as far as where. So you go to our Facebook, facebook.com/HoNcast. Not only like the page, but also go to the app of the Malikan Photobomb app.
Yeah.
And go ahead and give where you think what suite it's going to be in the Palms Hotel. And again, you get a chance to become eligible to win that trip to Las Vegas and join us at the grand final. It's going to be a lot of fun, of course.
Absolutely.
So do that specifically while on the break here, because we are going to be taking a short break. Well, not necessarily a short break. It is going to be a little bit longer of a break. In fact, with that said, we have just over an hour now before the next series is set to kick off. So we are going to go ahead and turn off the stream for now. But our next series will be the Winners Bracket Finals. Stay Green. Going to be taking on Trademark Esports, Trelf.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun, man.
Be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
That could possibly be a preview of the eventual grand finals. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
In fact, I think both you and I predicted that here on yesterday's podcast show. So we do a lot of agreeing, it seems like.
Yeah, it seems like
Great minds think alike.
But when we do disagree, I'm always right. So.
Of course. We always go over that. So yeah, Trademark Esports versus Stay Green. That's going to be the next series coming at you. So again, just over an hour from now, we'll be back here on HoNcast with that series. Going to be a lot of fun, best of the 3, and that'll wrap up our coverage for today. But obviously, yeah, that could be still plenty of HoN to come. So head over to the Complexity HoN stream for now. TT Esports taking on Lions and watch that series wrap up. But then look to come back here. It's the time-wise, it is 12:30 p.m. Pacific, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. That is 21:30 Central European Time. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be back then. This guy is Tralf. You can follow him at TralfHoN.
This guy, I don't know, but you can follow him at Breaking CBK.
I'm lost, apparently. That's what I am. Anyways, but until about an hour and a half from now, you can come back. Just take a break, guys. We'll be back later on Stay Green versus TDM. See you then.